The Painting with Magic Show with Brandon Thomas is brought to you by thomasartsupply.com.
Hey, it's Brand T, and welcome back to the Painting with Magic Show. Today I got a great one for you. I'm ready to get monkey faced on a beautiful fall scene, but this ain't gonna be our typical one. I want to do a big close-up of a tree. You see some of that foliage there coming down. I think you're gonna really enjoy this one. And today we have a special guest in the studio, a bird that flew into the studio, and I don't know where it's at in here, but it might make some noise. So hopefully we might get a good blooper for you if it comes in and starts attacking me. So you'll know what it is. It's a bird. And what I have is my colors on the screen for you. It's the same exact colors that I use on most of the projects. And you can get that same print off at brandthomasart.com. And we should always have a link in the description so you can get that same print off. And these are the Grumbacher pre-tested oil colors. You should have a picture on the screen of the tubes of paint that I use. So it's a Grumbacher pre-tested, very good quality paint. And then I have my Fredrix Red label 16 by 20 canvas, and it's a medium tooth canvas. I always like using most of the time a medium tooth canvas. I like how it gives me a little bit of texture. And on top of that, I have my signature NTO medium. And we should have a picture of that on the screen for you, so you'll know exactly what I'm using. And make sure when you put on the clear medium that you put a very thin coat. As a matter of fact, once you put it on, you're going to take a good quality paper towel and really wipe it down. Really, really good. That way you can get just a little tiny little bit on there, because you don't need much of this to go on. And with that, I think we're ready to go. I'll take a number 6 filbert brush, and because we have clear on here, we will have to mix white with our colors just so we can get them right. But I want to make a little light blue tone so I can start sketching out my tree trunk. And to do that, we're going to take some titanium white. And you can come on down to the palette here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, we're going to take just a tiny little pinch of the blue. I don't need a lot of this, just a little bit. Just so I can see what I'm doing on the canvas, so I can just see it. But I may make it a little darker just so you can see it on the camera. So you don't need a dark blue, you just need a light blue color. And I think that'd be good enough. Just a very light blue. Just on a number 6 filbert brush. I'll tell you what, let's go back here and I'll start putting in our tree. Okay, so to start painting in this tree trunk, it's going to be pretty big, okay? So, I'm going to come from like right here in this corner, bring it down. Then I want another little chunk of a tree trunk going up a little bit. So let me reload my brush. You can see how big this thing's already going to be. And it's kind of got a skinny little trim there. And reload the brush up here. Just this blue tone. And make sure you give it all these little shaky shakes. And we're going to bring this one down right about right here. And then we got another little peak going about right like that. Right off the corner. And this one's not a very thick one. See, I'm just getting the sketch of this tree in. Okay. Basically where it's going to be at. Right on down. Just like that. Okay, so you got a full view here of what I'm doing. The little limb goes out like that. And let's see here. We'll have another little limb. It kind of goes down. It goes clear off the canvas there. And I kind of fill it in just a little bit so I can do it. But you just get your basic shape in of your tree trunk that you're going to be doing. This way you can get a good idea of what's going on here. We'll have other limbs and stuff come out on this tree, but I think that's going to be good right there. So save that blue. We're going to need it for the sky. And there'll be just little pockets of sky that'll come in here. But we're going to the palette and we're mixing up a big orange color, and so we can start getting in our foliage in. Okay, so I'm going to take some of this white, and there's a little touch of blue in it, but that'll be okay. And we're going to take a big old chunk of yellow. This is cadmium yellow light, a little bit of yellow ochre, and then some of that Grumbacher red. And we'll start mixing this up. And this is how you customize it. You can customize it to any orange tone that you want. More red, and a little bit darker. And then I want to add a little titanium white to it, because remember, there's no amazing one on the canvas. There's just NTO medium. Okay, a little more of this yellow. This is almost like a peachy color here right now. I want to bring it into a more cadmium orange kind of tone. And if you have your own orange tube, you can use cadmium orange if you want to, but I like to mix my own up most of the time. Sometimes I will just use some other tube, but for this case, we're going to mix up our own. So that's our color we got right there. I'm hoping you're able to see that tone. Okay? And that'll be the color for our foliage, for the most part. We'll come in and we can add some different things to it. But let's take a Let's take a 1-inch brush. Let me get a 1-inch brush. Okay, I got my 1-inch brush here. I'm just going to load it up. Just going to load it up. Get some on that brush. Okay. Now, it shouldn't take a lot because we have a clear medium on the canvas, so it shouldn't take a whole lot of this paint. Alright, let's go back up here, the old canvas. Okay, so in this corner, I'm just going to start putting in the orange, just kind of painting in with an X stroke. This corner is going to be filled with this orange tone. Okay. And we'll take and put some more right up here too. I tell you what, before we get going any more on that, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and put our little bit of sky in. So we're just going to use some of that blue and white we used just for the tree here. And I'm just going to decide where my sky will be. So I'm going to have pockets of sky in this one. Just little pockets. Like you can kind of see, just kind of pockets its way through. Maybe a little bit right here, I think. I can still see that line of my... You can even put a little bit right there if you want. But you decide how you want it to be and how much sky you're going to see. You can just put it in random areas. Just so the foliage, you can see it popping through. The sky coming through that foliage. Here comes that bird, boys. You hear it? Okay, so I think I got my sky in there how I want it to be right now. We can always add a little bit more to it. So I want to go back to that 1-inch brush with the orange on it. And just start putting it in here. I just want a thin area here for it. Just a thin little layer. We're going to come back and add some texture and everything to it in a minute. But let's just get the background going. You see where that sky's punching through. And so that starts making more sense now as we get the... And so just kind of add your orange in here. Just like that. And you want to have different tones going through. You can see how I got going on here right now. And so now I'm kind of changing up my stroke a little bit. But I'm going to get a thin coat here of this orange kind of going in here. So you can see all the little textures now going on. Up here as well. So you can still see the tree coming through there because I got a very light amount of paint on this brush. So I'm kind of tapping and spinning the brush like that, which is helping me get texture. Okay, so you get that texture going. And just keep adding in your little textures and things. Like that. I'm try to get a little texture back here, tone. But you can really tell that it's a little bit more solid there. So, there we go. Okay. So once you kind of get your background in here, get our basic design in. Okay, for the most part here. Now we can start to add a little bit more texture. Start bringing more of this in life here, bringing in more textured. And so to do that, we will take a 1-inch brush again. Let's go to the palette. I'm going to take some titanium white and go right into this color. And this will lighten it up. Maybe a little more yellow, because you want to add some different tones in here now. See, it's much different than the original, so you will see it go on the canvas. Hopefully you'll be able to see it, but when you're doing it at home, you will see it go on. Okay, I'm just kind of tapping the brush, getting it just a little bit in there, and the brush is opened up really well. Okay, let's go back here and try that. So I'm just kind of bringing in a few of these little tones here. I think you can see that. Just kind of tapping the brush and doing the same kind of strokes we were doing before. Okay, I can even take a little yellow ochre, just straight up yellow ochre. Well, maybe some burnt sienna, maybe a little darker. There we go. That burnt sienna worked, did the trick, didn't it? Okay, and I kind of just tap them out so they kind of blend a little bit. Same way over here. Burnt sienna in there. Just tapping the brush. Just tap the brush. Okay, just like that right there. Okay, and you can just start tapping those same little tones. Just put a little burnt sienna on your brush. Now, very little, very little. It will not take much to do this. It won't take much at all to do this. Okay, just let the brush do its job. Very, very little paint. Can't stress that enough. Very little paint. Does not take much. Okay, start throwing some of that through here. Just like that. You can still see them branches coming through. I think you're going to really enjoy this one. There we go. And it's kind of just adding in there. What you're doing is you're just adding some texture to the background. Alrighty, so I got the little background, I think, situated for now. You get the idea of what's going on. You get the textures going on. You see that tree ever so slightly coming to life. But when we throw that dark in there, it's going to really, really pop. But before we start adding the trees in there, I want to add some more details into the leaves. But before we do that, I think it's time for our newest segment on the show, the Scripture of the Day. Today's Scripture of the Day is coming from the book of Luke in chapter 5, verses 29 through 31. Then Levi held a great banquet for Jesus at his house, and a large crowd of tax collectors and others were eating with them. But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, who belonged to their sect, complained to his disciples, "Why do you eat and drink with tax collectors and sinners?" Jesus answered them, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance." Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed our newest segment of the show, the scripture of the day. I hope it was a blessing to you. So I'll tell you what we need to do is start working more on our details on our little foliage. So we need to get the old number 6 filbert brush back out again. And I'm only going to clean it up. I'm just going to wipe it off on the palette just a little bit. And we go right to the... Because that little blue anyway will grade this orange anyway, so it's okay. So I'll tell you what, let's go down here to the palette and I'll show you how to load this brush up. To load this brush, we're going to go back and forth with it. I want a good little amount of paint in here. Now, always try to remember to not load it past the bristles there. You don't want to get it back in here in this metal ferrule. Because if you do, you'll start clogging that brush up. Sometimes we can't help it, but make sure you try to clean it out really good. So just load it up really good, back and forth. And let's go back here and start trying to see if this color works. If not, we'll just have to adjust it a little bit as we go. Okay, so I'm just going to use this to adjust. Now we're going to adjust it. I'm going to add a little burnt sienna to that color. And just see what we get here. So I'm just going to kind of add in a few little of these darker foliage markings in here. This is kind of an impression that there is foliage in here. A little more detail anyway. And you can do whatever color you like. Well, as long as it stays in that fall tone. So this just bringing in more detail, more texture into it. Okay, so I hope you can see that. Okay, I'll swap that brush off, and what I will just do is go back to that same orange color. I'll add a little titanium white to that and see if that'll go on. Now at this point you can add some amazing white to it or some of that clear medium to help it stick a little better. Add a little more yellow. This is where it gets a little fun right here. You can start adding in the different tones and all these little extra textures and things to it. You may not be able to see everything that goes on here, but that's okay. Okay, I'm just going to add a little amazing white over here to the side. I want you to kind of see the colors that I'm going with here. We have our original orange, have a little burnt sienna added to it, but down here I'm going to add a little more yellow and some amazing white to it, some titanium white to it. And that little bit of amazing white should allow it to stick. So let's go back here and see what this does. But this is the colors I'm playing with. You can just always adjust it for however you like it to be. Okay? Let's go back here. Now you should be able to start seeing these things coming out. And we'll add some orange ones too, some more brighter orange colors, but like that right there. Okay, so you see how this really starts to bring it more into the life here. I don't want a whole lot going on, but I just need some texture. Okay, so I've made me a red tone, well, an orangey tone, but I've added a little more red to it. But you can just take these and just put them wherever you want to do them at, okay? Just to give you some of that foliage. And we will tap it down a little bit with our 1-inch brush as well, but let's keep going on the rest of it. And you can see I'm just going to add in some of this red tone, some of this brown tone. I'm kind of just going back and forth with it. I want it to be a little random. Okay. Now here's where you can kind of tap. Especially right there where the skies are going to be playing in at. You want to tap those in a little bit. This is the longest part, but it kind of is a little long. But you just kind of got so much to do here to add to it. Okay, that's like those textures of flow throughout the whole thing. Okay, I'm just gonna let these kind of play around through here. So we're just getting more details. Kind of tap. You can tap it. You can smear it a little bit if you like. Just getting all these textures. Just keep going back and forth with the colors. See, just like that right there. And it'll start to make more sense. But we'll come back and touch it with a little bit of, with that 1-inch brush. That'll help knock some of that thickness down a little bit. And I'm kind of crunching the brush a little bit to soften some of those. And it's just burnt sienna mixed with the same old tones, colors. There we go. See, we're going to go around those little blue areas there where the skies are going to be at. We kind of want to a little more focusing on those a little bit. Okay. And I'm just randomly putting them where I think I want them at. There's no real rhyme or reason for it. It's just getting some darks for the textures. Okay, just getting them on here. Let me come back with that 1-inch brush here a little bit. I'm going to use our 1-inch brush to kind of tap and soften some of this. Just to soften it down. Okay, just like that. You can soften this side too. You can see how it starts to make more sense now. Now it starts to really start to come together. There you go, to soften it down. Okay. And then you can start to come down here and play with these bottom parts. Okay. And you just start to add in your little tones. Just keep playing back and forth with it. You may not be able to see that, so I'm going to add a little more yellow to that mixture. Okay. And just keep playing with it here. Okay, so I just add a little more amazing white to the mixture, which will help it stick. Because a lot of this will be covered up anyway with tree limbs and everything that's coming in, but we just want some texture in here. Show a little more detail. The impressions of these little leaves. Okay, just little impressions of things. this takes a long time. It takes a while, but you know, in the studio it's not so bad. But when you're filming, you try to get it done fairly quickly, but and trying to show the technique and everything. In the studio, when you're filming it, doing it yourself, it's a very relaxing time to do it. Okay. And you start to see it now really starting to bring itself into the life. Now those little dark blotches make more sense. And again, we will soften this down just a little bit with our 1-inch brush. Okay. So I like that right there. Just keep going on down with it. I like to use the little blurred eye technique, I call it. You kind of blur your eyes a little bit as you're going, and it really helps everything make more sense. And that old bird again. Okay, so let's keep on going back through here. And you just keep on adding your little textures and stuff in. All over this little thing here. Okay. So move up at these little areas where the sky pops through. That's where you want to kind of really see those little more individual leaves kind of more taking place. Okay, so right where you know where a little sky pops through. Okay, and then I think it's time to start softening down these textures. I'm taking my 1-inch brush here and I'm just gently touching, which will help me soften down some of this texture. Just softly touch it. Okay. Just like that, just softly touch it. Okay, there we go. I think that's pretty good right there. Just nice and soft on our texture spots. Okay, there we go. I think that's good enough right there. And then we can start working on our big tree trunk. Okay, so to do that, we're going to take some black, big old chunk of black, some blue, and a big old thing of burnt sienna mixed right in there to it. Okay, and just mix that all up. Get a nice dark color. Okay, that's pretty good. Alright, I'm going to grab a 1-inch brush, and I'm just going to load this right into the 1-inch brush. Now remember, we have a NTO in the background. That's where our medium was for today. So this should remain pretty dark. Okay, let's go back here. Just load it up back and forth, like that. And we'll go back here. Okay, so what we're doing is just filling this all in. So just fill it in. Just like you're painting a house at this point. Just fill it all in. And you'll start seeing all this, really this orange, really will start to make more sense. It'll start really popping. Don't worry about the edges. We'll take a filbert brush to that and get that fixed. Right now you're just worried about filling all this in. Okay, let's get it all filled in. Getting the main shape. Main shape there. So I'm just getting the bulk work done with the big brush here. And the small brush will be just for the edges. Let's get an idea where that goes. Here's our little tree trunk that goes this way. So you gotta remember where your sky pockets are and where your tree sketch was. Okay, so for the most part. Alright, so I just took a number 6 filbert brush. And I'm just loading it in the same exact color as before. But now I will start to block in the shape. Okay, so we're just going to fill this in. Now you see it really start to come in shape. I want to kind of like that. We're trying to give you a whole view of this canvas. So you can see how it goes in. Okay. Now it starts to make sense, don't it? Okay, there. Just painting in this little tree at this point. Okay. This one too, let's see. Make a little kind of hump right there on it so we kind of fill that little corner spot there in. And we can start to bring in the trunk. It's going down this way. Big old limb. Okay, so I was filling it in. I'm going to bring this one up a little bit more. We'll make it a little more thicker. Okay. And just bring this one on down, make it thicker. So push that brush in pretty firm. Let it go right all the way down to the bottom. Now I want to start adding in right through here. I think I'm going to put me a limb that kind of goes right behind this one. It attaches right there. It goes right behind it. See how that one goes behind it now. And this one needs to be a little thicker. Make it curve over like that. Like that right there. So I'm just make it a little thicker. These are the main limbs, the main branches. Okay. Yeah, they're all coming together a little better. Like that right there. Okay. So I think I want to maybe make this a little thicker coming off that tree. Kind of round those little edges off. Okay, so same exact technique we've been doing. We're just using no filbert brush just to allow us to paint in limbs and stuff. Okay. Okay, so what happened was we had a technical difficulty and we missed filming this in. Okay, so I'm going to show you some more limbs so you get the idea of how to get these exact same things happening. So I'm going to decide where I want to put one at. I'll put one, I could put one right down here, I guess. So the same technique the rest of this was, you just push in firm and give it a wiggle. That's all you got to do to get those limbs in there. Okay, so that's all I did. And to push limbs in front of each other, that's like this right here. And I painted this in, I painted it straight down. And then I brought one here, and what happened was it lapped it. See how it laps it there? Just bring the one you want to put in front of it and paint it in last. Okay, and that's all there is to doing these limbs. Okay? I'll tell you what, so we're working on our texture of this tree. Okay, so we're going to take titanium white and some of this black and burnt sienna. Okay, a little bit of blue. And maybe a little sap green. I like to add a little green sometimes in my trees. Maybe a little more blue. I want it to be a little more rustic. If you look at tree tones, a lot of times they have a little blue in them. Sometimes a little sap, a little green tone to it. Okay, maybe more black. Okay, and we'll just see what this color gives us. Get a little roll of that paint. Let's go back here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap on the tree texture bark. Just tapping it in, just like that. Just let the knife do the job. Okay, I think that's a good color, so it's going to work for us. Okay, so just bring it down, however you decide to do it. I'm going to make a decision here, and it's going to have a little hump on it right there. This is where you start carving out your tree. And just keep tapping the knife. See how it goes all across there like that? And just keep tapping it. Just keep tapping it. And you can also, if you want to, you can let the knife just break. And then you can tap it to get all that barky tones, barky texture. Okay, so what I've done is I just added a little burnt sienna to it. Same color, just add a little burnt sienna to it. This way I can adjust the tones and change up the tones as I go. Okay, over here you just kind of let it kind of move itself right into this branch here, so it's all in connected. Just with all that texture. Like that right there. See, it's all starting to come together. Now remember, we're going to have our shadow as well, so we have to do that, work with that as well in a little bit. Okay, so just keep working, highlighting your tree. All the little lines, just all that texture. A bit on that little side. Okay, see how that goes? And that's all you gotta do. And work it into it. So we're gonna have a little shadow that'll form right in there. Okay. And so let's work on this one. So this one here will go down. Just like that right there. Start connecting it into that tree. Just like that right there. And so you start to see how the textures start to form and create the bumps and all these little textures in the trees. And just keep working it down into your other limbs and things. This painting here is not a difficult one. It's just a very repetitive stroke after stroke. And just kind of forming the tree. I want to kind of go down into a shadow here. So I'm just letting that paint run out of the knife in that area. Same way up here. And I kind of get an automatic shadow tone working for me. See that? Hopefully my big arm wasn't in the way on you. So you just keep on working your little limbs and things. There we go. Good. And you just work it in this way. Just those same little taps. We're just tapping in and out. If you want to, you can use a small end of the knife if you need to. Get in there and get them other little areas that you can't get with the big knife because all these little twists and turns. Okay, there we go, like that. And we can just bring in this one. You want all them textures. I just want you to see this. I wouldn't paint it this way normally from this direction, but I just want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. Okay, it goes down, and this one here will go in front of it. Let's probably switch to the bigger knife now, part of the knife. And just work it in here. I'm telling you, these little paintings like this, there's not a whole lot to them that you have to do. Okay, not a whole lot to them. Okay. And you can just give it just a little bit of a breakage there with the knife, and that helps set it in as well. See, you can pull stroke it as well if you want to just do that and run some lines through it, and that really helps get that bark to kind of blend a little bit, because you don't want just straight up chunky things. So you just give a little blend stroke with your knife. So I'm just going to show you some different techniques here, just so it don't get boring on you. But just tapping. You can even run your knife like this and start getting some lines coming off that. Before I do that, though, I'm just going to kind of bring this up a little bit, so it's connecting into the tree. There's not a lot of paint on the background here. So when you're using a knife, you kind of want some texture. So I'm going to take some of this dark color we had for that dark tone. Let's mix some of that on here too. Some of that dark. Okay. Some dark paint. Okay. So now, because we have that dark there, when we come in here to tap, I can kind of blend that paint into the dark. I can even break the paint a little bit. And let it kind of break into the tree. I want it to be more darker down here anyway. I'm smearing that paint a little bit. That dark in there a little bit, but it's nothing really to it. It's just it's just repetitive strokes and taps, and just to get those textures. Okay, and working on this one on the top. And you just bring it down into the tree. A little bit like that. Some of that smear in there a little bit, because that helps really add that to that texture. It kind of goes into the tree there, but then it kind of goes into the shadow a little bit. You can use your finger too to help smear some of that into the shadow, because there's not a lot of paint on the canvas as far as the dark goes, so we can use our finger here. And then the same way on this side. And I want this one to be really more in shadow over here. So I'll just kind of add some texture with the canvas texture. That's what I'm working with here now. All that black paint. See how it keeps blended with my finger there. So this is a little bit of finger painting too. And there we go. Okay. Okay, with that there, I think I'm almost done with the textures. You can even put a little texture on this one back here too if you want. Just so it's got some texture going on. Okay, I think I got all my textures in place that I want. Then we could take our liner brush and start working in some more tree limbs and really finish it up. Okay, just like that right there. Just to get her some limbs in. Okay. So let's paint in another limb here too. Let's fix this little spot there a little bit. Come way over there, way back there. See, that's all there is to do it now. But you can put in there as many or as few as you want. Okay. Let's go down here to this one. Wait, before we go down there, I just want a few little more limbs in this area here. Maybe we can just let it go this way. You can see it flowing around. There we go. We'll just paint them in there. Just take your time with it and just fix them up, however you decide to do it. Let's go to this one. Now back here, I just want to see some texture back here of tree limb that's way in here in this tree. I don't want to see them popping off the tree. I just want to see kind of there's some branches flowing back here, some texture of these in this area. Okay. There we go. And maybe, just maybe, you see one just kind of kicks off right there. You just have your little details, however you decide to do them. Maybe one goes way back here and it just goes right behind that tree. So you can see some things that are working. Clear off the canvas there. This is all behind the tree. Okay. Here's one more right there. Alright, with that I have a finished little painting. Thank you so much for joining me here on this episode of Painting with Magic. I want to apologize that we didn't get every single shot filmed, but I like to show every single detail, every single stroke that goes into a painting. But this one here, we had some technical difficulties with the cameras. So I want to apologize for that. But this one has a lot of repetitive strokes in it, so if we got everything filmed for the most part, I think you'll be able to put it together at home when you do this project. Thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like and comment. It means so much when I see you in the comments out there and subscribing and sharing with your friends that you're getting monkey-faced on it. Please check out thomasartsupply.com for my signature products, my brushes and mediums, all on there at thomasartsupply.com. It's our brand new website. And thank you again for watching. I love you, but Jesus loves you more. God bless you, and I'll see you real soon.